Hello, today I'll be showing you how to use the camera control unit, which is also known as the CCU, and why it is essential for any television production. The four basic job functions of a video operator is to match and line up cameras, quality control, creating a look or profile for the production, and monitoring video levels. The CCU is made up of two main parts: the remote control panel, RCP, which is what you use to control and adjust the certain luminance, black, gamma, flare, and gain levels. The second part of the CCU is the monitor, which you use to observe the different level changes and how you can see that all your adjustments are done correctly. The monitor has four different screens. The waveform monitor shows your black and gain levels, the vector scope, which allows you to set and adjust the hue and saturation, your preview of what the camera is shooting, and lastly, the flare and gamma monitor is a magnified preview of the center of the vector scope. To start, you must power up the cameras you are working with in your production by using the camera power button here on the CCU, and then have all cameras as closely lined up to the chip chart as you can, which is what you use as a basis for setting all your different levels on each camera. Once all are aligned to the chip chart, you can now begin setting your levels at the CCU to the desired profile that you want for your production. The waveform monitor allows you to monitor intensity levels of each camera and is where you see the adjustments to all of your blacks, gains, gammas, and flares. To start off with your black levels, select and single out the blacks on the waveform monitor. Then you push the black buttons here on the remote panel. Also, you will see the line across the screen indicating the black's current level. Now to make a more crisp black, you must adjust the red and blue waves on top of the green so that it is a solid level. To do so, you turn the R and B pedestals till you make one solid line on the monitor. Then you must rest the line right on top of the low level or 0 millivolts using your pedestal ring on your control panel. Once your blacks have been set, you no longer need to touch them, and you can now move on to setting up your gains, also known as whites. Your gains are what the camera perceives as being white. Now to single out the whites, you must push the gains button here. Once pushed, you then see an odd X-like shape appear on your waveform monitor. This is simply the camera's view of the different levels on the chip chart. Once again, like the blacks, you must layer both the red and blue on top of the green for a solid level of white. To do so, you must turn the R and B pedestals until they are on top of the G and make one solid shape. When all is aligned, you now must set the gains to a proper millivolt level, this peaking at 700 millivolts. Now, while setting both your blacks and gains, you can notice that the center dot on your vector scope moves. This is what allows you to monitor and adjust hue and saturation for each camera. The key to knowing if your blacks, gains, and gammas are perfectly set is once again to use the vector scope and adjust your reds and blues until the dot is precisely in the center of the screen. If you have trouble viewing this, you can push the ×5 button here and zoom into the closer view of the vector scope center. Using the vector scope is also key for adjusting both your gammas and your flares. Your gamma is the dynamic range on the grayscale, or the balance that controls the overall lightness of the image on camera. To set your gamma, you must first single it out for your waveform monitor by pressing the gamma button located here. Then once singled out, you will see its levels appear on screen. The standard setting that you must put your gammas to is 430 millivolts. Once again, you use the R and B pedestals and lay them both upon the green. To once again have more accurate level reading, you can use the vector scope and adjust the red and blue until the center dot is perfectly in the middle of the scope. Lastly, you are able to align and set up your flares. Flares are used to control and paint lens flare correction, known as a paintable black. To adjust your flares, you must draw your attention to the vector scope. As you can see, sometimes the center dot has long lines that appear coming out of it. This is what we need to get rid of by using both the red and blue pedestals until the center dot is centered and well rounded in the vector scope. Now you know how to use a CCU in television production. Have a terrific evening.